Clippers and Twitter health able to possibly grab a few good games here and jump up into our top 10.
Yeah, and it's not only the fact that they're 80 points behind kind of, you know, the first place teams or that big upper echelon. The big thing here is that there's so many teams side by side, shoulder to shoulder. Look at the points, 107 only going down to about 80. That's like half a game or just a little bit of placement. Look at 98 points to 96 from 13th to 14th. Jagveer right beside Temple and Zinc right below them. They're tied. So for NA West, it's a very, very close race. Zeke, we're breaking down the points. One elimination could jump you up 2 placements. Getting placements will get you all the way towards the top of the board. It's a very close race.
It's already too close, man. Once again, just looking at the standings, you guys know, if you followed the comp scene for a while, you know I just like to stress about these things, even though it's out of my hands. But I'm already stressed, okay? Because I want everybody to have acts of champions because I love everybody too much. Now, we got to kind of talk about the predictions, all right? Our thoughts on which trios could walk away with the title. Now, the outlier here is actually Sundown. You guys and Clay are all kind of in the same ballpark, right? The trio coming out from last season, coming back. Sundown's trio, though, coming in 23rd on the day, only 65 points. Shy, I mean, do you think this trio can go the distance? Can they make up that deficit?
The best thing for a team on day one that's looking to come back is not having a good performance, right? Because that's where the comeback story starts. Making all your mistakes on the first day means you can have some 6 great games coming into day 2. I believe in the comeback potential. Now, do I think they can hit all the way up in first? Yes, as well, because we see the top teams kind of battling each other and stealing points away. No one's really pushing forward with a clear lead, so it's possible. On the other side, though, Kelly, for Arkham Rex and Epic Whale, they're coming in 3rd place off of day 1. Is this like a good spot to be in, or should we be worried for the God Trio trying to win NA West back to back to back?
No one is worried whatsoever. After season 5, we saw Arkham Rex and Epic Whale. They were in 2nd place. Obviously, that's not 3rd place, but I do think that the point difference is kind of the same thing right there. I mean, they didn't place below 10th, and they had several 3rd place finishes yesterday, but that's consistent. That's important. That's good. They're not getting these crazy games, though, that like Fabs, Kenshi, and Snacky are getting, and we know that can make or break a team right there. They have a pretty good drop spot, even when they're not making it all the way to Zone 9 or Zone 8, wherever the end game is. Like, they're still grabbing at least 4 or 5 eliminations every single time. So, Shio, they're definitely not out. I think, actually, all the teams that we have in our top 5 right now are within contention of 1st place.
They definitely have a potential, you know, definitely to pop off. A note, though, also on Quinn's team, we're talking about back-to-backs for Rex, Epic Whale. That man, I was checking his socials out, back-to-back 4.0 GP. He's, you know, educating himself up. So he can have the brains to fix up those mistakes from day 1. He can roll through while playing Fortnite and studying over and have a crazy day. I'm excited to see it.
Okay, I guess he's just built different. That's okay and an acceptable answer, I guess. It's absolutely ridiculous. But Fortnite fam, we hope you guys are ready because it is time to kick off the 2nd day of competition. If you're watching a Party Royale, what a Party Royale! You know how much I love you. I hope you enjoy these games. But for now, we're sending it over to Clay and Sundown, our casters for NA West. Gentlemen, say hello.
Oh, hello there. Thank you so much, Zeke, Shio, and Kelly. And what is up, Fortnite family? Welcome. It's closing time, and where every new beginning is some other beginning's end, we're going to see who's going to end up on top here. 6 matches left to go to claim that Axe of Champions. And my name's Sundown, joined by the fantastic, as always, Clay Stelling, to guide you through all of the action. And Clay, how are you doing after an intense day of Fortnite action?
Yesterday was non-stop hype the entire way through. Every fight was so tense, and I know it's going to be that way today. The stakes are even higher because it is the back half of the matches. And after what we just watched in NAEs, with that head-to-head moment at the very end for 1st place, I am so excited just to see that moment happen here in West.
Yeah, and as the analyst desk was able to show, we've had 5 teams who are able to really separate themselves towards the top. But as we noted, we're only 50% of the way through the competition. So it's Fortnite. Absolutely anything can happen, and there definitely seems to be a little bit of change in the winds. Potentially some teams trying to adapt their strategy going into day 2, because frankly, we saw a lot of what teams were trying to game plan on day 1 just didn't really come to fruition, and I would expect players to change it up. The definition of an insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, you got 6 matches today. They want to see some different results.
And we saw that last season with Arkham Epic Whale and Rex. They were in that lead. They were kind of a little bit behind. And then all of a sudden, day number 2, they came out of nowhere. They said, wait a minute. Y'all thought we were going to let y'all win that? No. And so they came back just with a vengeance. And I expect to see them do it again. I mean, they're in 3rd place right now, so I don't think they're happy with that by any means.
I mean, for them, it's first or nothing. They're the literal adage, if you're not first, you're last. They want to win everything. It doesn't matter if it's a cash cup, if it's a scrim, if it is a creator cup, FNCS, they want the W, so they're going to be putting it all on the line today. And we saw yesterday they had uncontested Sweaty. There seems to be a little rumor, a little birdie saying that might not be the case today, as Batman Boga, Sake, and Wale didn't necessarily get off to a great start yesterday. We saw throughout the entirety of the qualifiers, how did they make it there? They made it by grinding out and taking the fights at Sweaty, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did end up kind of sticking to that audible and going and trying to take those fights. But I'm also not necessarily sure if that's a huge plus or negative for Epic Whale, Arkham, and Rex, because they struggled for Storm Surge in a couple of those games, and we know they can fight.
And if they finish it off quickly, they'll be fine. But that has been a struggle for West. We see a lot of East and EU. Those fights start and they're over. But West likes to draw these fights out. They really like to make these games go really long. And speaking of games, we're right into it here with game number 7 coming through. The observer showing us a nice little llama over here by the Zate Hill, and I'm just excited to see where these first contestants are going. And Sundown, Sweaty Sands, someone talked a big game, but eventually they left it uncontested.
They huffed and they puffed and they went somewhere else. But speaking of going somewhere else, we saw an adaptation late yesterday where 4DR Storm and his team said, nah, we're going back to the stacks. That's what we know best. Dylan, Quinn, and Juicy weren't ready for it, and it looks like you can see top right-hand side, we got that fight going down. But also over at the Dirty Docks, which was continually contested, we already had a knock. You can see that represented by the X, but we're going to swing on over to our current leaders. It's Extra Snacky, Kenshi, TSG, Favs landing over here at Risky Rios, which is just such a strong drop spot this season.
All the mechanical parts and all that metal that you're going to be able to have, just astronomically more here, I think, than anywhere else other than maybe compact cars over by Dirty Docks. And the priority on zone here is what makes it so valuable. When you talked about the 40R moving over, and they continue that. That last game for them was so dominant. They completely eliminated Quinn, Juicy, and Dylan so fast. It was unheard of. We haven't seen it before, and they're looking to do it again.
Well, they've been conditioned to the fact that they were uncontested, right? Nobody else was here, so they're taking these really spread out drops. But when Steamy Stacks is traditionally contested, you'll either see this little bit of a north-south split between the two silos, or sometimes an east-west split, which is a little less desirable if one team's really able to kind of claim that coastline. There's significantly more loot over there. But right now you can see Dylan trying to get up on the high ground and pressure onto Adam right away. And I do want to note, I did end up predicting Quinn, Juicy, and Dylan. They were one of the teams who ended up coming through. They had a very poor performance yesterday, had a tough time kind of getting off spawn and getting into the matches. And I would just say, like we talked about in the pre-show, doing the same thing and sticking with it, definition of insanity, etc., all of that. I'm looking more so today to see what Riverson and Co. end up doing in terms of my own personal prediction and storylines. If Quinn and Co. make themselves relevant, awesome. Do I expect that to be the case given what happened yesterday and the fact that in match number 6, they got absolutely shellacked over here at the stacks? I'm not sure they're coming in with a ton of confidence.
I think it's a little different now that they know they're going to be contested. They can plan around that, and Quinn definitely, I think, has set that up, knowing how smart he is and knowing the IGL role that he plays. Definitely can play around that, and any tags that they've got is already more going over than what they got yesterday. And this is, I actually like a lot. They're immediately disengaging. They know these houses have bunker chests. They know the slurp trucks over here as well. And I like this from them because now if they can get ahead of everyone, they can hold this trio on rotation as they're coming out of the stacks.
Yeah, but that's one of the problems when you're rotating away from the eastern side of the map and what made the Cammy split that everyone talks about so popular. There's always a team who's hawking that interior line and immediately hitting those houses. But speaking of immediately hitting the houses, going over to Misty Meadows, a place that was wide open yesterday for Chris Wheat and Falconer, but now a little bit of adversity. And speaking of adversity, Chris losing all of his shields, all of his white HP instantly. He's down, he's out. Falconer, who was the unexpected carry yesterday, really putting the trio on his back in terms of Elim, also going to be down. It's all going to be on Reet, who, while great wall-to-wall, box-to-box, only has 2 bills, back-to-back 100-plus tags, though. It's going to check this advance for a second, and I don't think there's a ton of excess shields here, so if Reet can isolate enough, he's so good. Hop getting bopped right there, but will it be enough to allow him back in the match? Good! Reet hitting! No! Back! We saw 1v3 yesterday from Shifu. We didn't expect it, but it's a little more fantastic when you see it out of one of the best in the West. And on top of that, he did it into 3 people who were full shields, full HP, and had legendary weaponry, a legendary pump, plus a legendary SMG that early in the game is so brutal. But now I'm not sure if he's aware that there's another trio here. He's gonna get the 3 Elims, but he's gonna get a nice little surprise as there's a second ambush coming in the meadows. You've heard of the first ambush, well, here's the second one.
He does have the legendary pump this time, can make a play happen, and Skadoo says, get out of here. We're not gonna let you clip us again. Imagine what that would have been like. I think everyone would have freaked out, us included. I don't know a better start to an FNCS day number 2 than that right there. Still, phenomenal performance by Reed to try to put the team on his back, get those eliminations, and go for that reboot. Moving over, we get to see the early rotation once again from Arkham, Epic Whale, and Rex. This is the adaptation they made from the previous season until now. They made it in that second day as well, as they decided, you know what, we're spending too long here. We're going down to Surge. We need to find Storm Surge. A quick stat for everyone, Rex's trio has at least 1 elimination in their last 30 FNCS finals games. That is ridiculous.
That's really good. If you think about it just from a consistency factor, that's not getting wiped off spawn pretty much ever. That's always at least taking 1 person with you. It also just goes to show how long they've been around, how long they've been competing as a trio and as a group. They play so often together and now doing a really good job, just kind of some of these drive-by tags here, finding damage and trading out, doing a good job of making sure they're getting lines and taking a beat, and now rotating back behind him. Generally, when you're rotating opposite another car like this, the last thing you want is to end up in a straight line with fire coming towards you. But as I say that, J Roses and Co. just light up Rex. He loses the entirety of his HP bar. They're going to have to dig deep in the utility there. Luckily for them, they got plenty of it.
But they're not going to just let him go without a little bit of a re-engagement there. They're looking for those tags. Arkham will hit 1. Epic Whale and Rex seemingly have to deal with the Raptors on the backside, so they do take a little bit more damage than they'd like to, but you pointed out they have a great amount, and that's what having an uncontested POI will allow you to do, have ridiculous amounts of loot. J-Rose is very and Trashy want to get some more tags on them rotating through, want that damage as well. Everyone is fighting for that Storm Surge. It doesn't matter if they see you rotating through and they're like, oh, I know that outfit, they're going to shoot at you. They need that Surge, and that's the best way to find it. But I saw a rare makeshift in their inventory. I really hope they're able to get enough mechanical parts to upgrade that.
Yeah, and that's one thing when you are leaving Sweaty Sands completely uncontested, because they respect so much the lobbies in space, there isn't anybody really near you. So you need to get going, you need to get moving. You've seen repeatedly, that's why they're getting in these cars, prioritizing the chonkers right away, and going to try and find fights, heading towards the zone. But that means you don't necessarily always have time to loot all the way up. So that's why you're seeing they're rotating through, making sure they min-max on the gas, and then when they're leaving, they're making sure they break the cars. But for a second time, they get beads on them from multiple angles, and Rex is just devoid of shield. twice in less than 2 minutes. He's going to be forced pop 2 minis and a big. Again, we talked about it. Tons of utility from there, but it seems like Vert, J Roses, and Trashies have a beat on him. That's the same team as before who was able to get a little bit of harassment down. So we're going to swing on over. That was the third place team who we're keeping an eye on. Now it's the fourth place team. Godku Ka and Fikoi have been landing up towards this weather station / caddy and really push pretty much everyone else away.
We fought this every single time, and that is something Arkram and company have struggled with the entire time. Is they make that early rotation, but they always end up losing that shield. But a quick stab for everyone, bringing it back over to Godku and their trio. They had at least 20 points in every game in day number 1. That is super consistent, and you're gonna need that. They're gonna need a little bit more. Again, being in 4th place, being behind, they're not that far off pace, but they really need to keep pushing that.
That's nuts, but it's also something that I kind of want to highlight because it puts them in danger, as we talked about with the teams who rely on consistency every single game. Yes, it's going to get there. Somebody's going to be consistent over the course of all 12. But one single bad game, and all of a sudden, you're not in that top 5 anymore. You're not in that top 3, and it's going to require a really large performance to end up catching and getting that Axe of Champions. So while that, also just to note, that performance is absurd. Getting over 20 points in every single game is just nutty when you consider the first placement points don't come in until top 25. You can see right now, look at the top left corner of the screen, still 89 players on their feet. Only 3 trios have gone down. That's Falconer, Reet, and Chris, Batman, Boga, Wale, and Sake, and then Hyper, Pearl, and Cluxon, all out.
Seen this zone yesterday. Gakuka and Pikoi actually ended up giving up this positioning, and I want to see them keep it this zone around, especially with how it's pulling a little bit more towards Misty this time around. I think it'll continue to pull that way for a little bit, and so I like that they have this angle and then they can choose to rotate down if they want to, because they're really good at getting that early surge. But if they've scared everyone away, they're not going to be able to find it. Like that's what Arkram, Epic Whale, and Rex are struggling with. We set that up yesterday, and so I'm very intrigued to see how they deal with it, because 0 eliminations, their tags, we'll see them here in a moment once that Storm Surge indicator pops up, but they're used to relying on those early games elims.
Yeah, and if you're wondering what we are talking about / watching us in Party Royale, not necessarily that used to competitive Fortnite, Storm Surge is something that ends up punishing the most passive players in the lobby. It ends up coming into play in zones 3, 5, and 7. If you check in the bottom right-hand corner, we're currently in zone number 2. So we'll get a Storm Surge warning in a little bit. Boom, there it is. So you can see on the right-hand side, they're currently sitting 47 damage above. The brief update was right around, I think it was 138 or so. So teams will need at least 4 to 5 rifle tags, and if they're at max range, you're looking at closer to 7 or 8. Now, name a better duo than NA West in zones pulling directly over these key bridges. As you can see, J Rose's Trashy Invert going to stake claim, and getting onto the bridge and getting priority position is so huge there, because being able to refarm those hard mats is so efficient in the late game. So now we'll swing on over. First place trio raining shots down on the second place trio there. They have a great line on them.
Kenshi actually, in the meantime on this rotation, did end up getting knocked to a bow. They were able to pick him up and still continue to put this pressure down. And I think they're going to keep that up. They seem very aggressive. They know they got a lot of damage off onto Caleb, Tautai, and Wheels. And in all honesty, if you're rotating behind a trio, we've talked about this many times before, this is what you need to do. You need to pressure them so they build for you, but don't stop. As soon as they stop, that's when you're going to have an issue. Caleb, Tautai, and Wheels have set up right on the edge of zone, though, and look at immediately how many hard mats Fast Stacky and Kenshi had to use immediately over to that metal, and that investment is gonna hurt them.
This rotation is so tough if you're on the northwestern side, because that island is just inside the zone, and you currently have the second place team who's just posted up there. They don't have to invest a ton of bats because they can sit inside that house and just refarm it. And when we talk about that, that means breaking down the walls and then replacing them. It means you're hyper efficient on the mats. And now these two teams, both on the edge of zone, you can see investing the hard mats, going out as Clay talked about, but about facing, because 1, 2, 3, was that 4, maybe 5 different trios all stuck out in the zone. Keep an eye on the bottom right-hand corner because they're all going to have to run into just this absolute buzzsaw. That's the first and second place trios right now in NA West. And just look at the damage. Look at the investment having to come through. Jaruto gets put down right away. Carnage is jumping into the Carnage, trying to mermaid his way down, but he's going to get shot like a fish out of water. Aiden trying to sneak away, but he gets cleaned up in a great line. You can see GG Easy and Venor, Spidey and Co. actually being pressured by Storm Surge. You have Dylan, Juicy, and Quinn coming from a real odd angle, so they rotated away from the north. However, they are going to be able to pick up some elims, and they're just going to wait a second because rotating in here is very scary as they will stick a revive. So currently only 2 members up, and getting in's going to be tough as Snacky, Faz, and Kenshi are paying attention. They know they're there. We'll swing over Mojo Solution, Jagvir, Shifu, Dep X, and Co. just on the opposite side of them. They're rotating away from the eastern or the northern side of the map, excuse me, as they come out of Lazy Lake.
They were also stealing all that loot away as well. Quinn and company really needed that, and they were like, oh wait, hold on, we needed a little bit more. So that makes it even more difficult. But you saw 500 and 400 damage above Surge, and we've seen that's not enough. It used to be enough, but everyone is being a lot more aggressive for those tags. You have to keep up with it. If you go and get 500 damage this zone and you don't hit a single tag after that, you are going to be in a big issue. But look at 40R, look at Cause, look at Adam, look at the completely different rotation from Quinn and company. That priority on their rotation coming out of the same POI being prioritized a little bit more by 40R.
And Mojo doing his best William Tell impersonation, or at least the person who was shooting arrows at him, because you saw those little trails just go right over his head multiple times as he swam across it. And oh boy, look at the zone. We talked about it, not quite directly over that bridge, but we're going straight over to Old Man Mountain to kick it off here in NA West. The changes in verticality are going to make high ground such a huge priority. You can see Favs and Snacky going to be pressured a little bit. Kenshi currently bringing up the rear there. Jagger Solution a little bit ahead, but Mojo is very far separated from them. You can see how everyone just wants to get some form of positioning because this zone is going to be brutal, Clay.
And we saw this zone almost exactly yesterday, and we saw the way it ended up shaping out, going right up to Mount K, and it again was brutal. And we saw this actually the same zone last FNCS, I think on the very last day, and I think even the last game players had to fight this exact zone. And look at Rex, Arkham, and Epic Well. They've got a legendary stink bow looking for the Surge.
So what happened yesterday in this exact situation, the zone continued pulling down towards the south, almost in the Camp Cod area. That was when Riversont, Blizzy, and Nate ended up getting control pretty much entirely on the western side, and then it pulled up towards that high mountain. So what we're going to be paying attention to, you can see in 5 seconds, all those trios are crammed in around the outside of the circle. We'll have one more interior zone, which should be pulling, boom, straight south, right over towards the edge of that Camp Cod area. And the priority is going to be on those orange triangles that are right next to Rex, Arkham, and Epic Whale. They're the ones who have the natural high ground. There's not going to be a ton of space, as we saw all the teams on the northern rotation just getting obliterated trying to make it down the side of the mountain. Rich Hobie, Quinn, and his trio just continuing the tough trend, not making it through. I don't even think they got that first round of placement points being dumped out right there. That's tough.
It's very hard for Snacky, Kenshi, and Faz as well. Everyone's on that Monks and La Mateo. We're shooting everyone from the right side as well. They're able to find some bit of reprieve. They used a lot of hard materials, but because they got those eliminations onto Quinn and Juicy, they can re-pick those mats up and they should be good. But Mateo, Sidla, and Monk are also trying to do that as well. Look at this rotation. This is going to be an interesting one. Again, reminder, they are in first place. They've got a late rotation coming on through. This is hard when you have a late rotate and you've got that pressure on you to make it through because everyone's looking at you and you know that. And look at how many hard mats they're using.
Yeah, they're investing in hard mats, but I think if they'd gone maybe a little bit quicker, they could have used the line of sight to just divert a little bit of attention. But now we're going to hop on board. Riverson catching a ton of attention. He could use a diversion right now as he eats so much damage. He's out of shield, almost out of white HP. Going to take a second to pop 2 minis with the stinks right on the side. We can see Storm Surge is going to rear its head. We'll see if that updates or if they are just below. Boom. So we know 179 is the farthest team from there. They currently need 81, 82, and that number is going to keep ticking up. And every second that Riversan's healing is times he's not looking for tags. And right now you can see that rotation being forced in, but the two trios we talked about who are right on the inside of that island line, Epic Whale and Cohen, the other trio, are just pressuring everyone and forcing them to invest so many hard mats, which with the changes to verticality here are going to make these moving zones tough. We'll see where the half in, half out is in 30 seconds, and that's going to determine a lot of who has high ground control for this Game 7 ending.
Wavy Jacob even in this feed, getting some eliminations as Riverson going to take a big beam at an awkward angle from up above. That is going to cost them. Look, no more shields in the inventory. Only has the med kit still below Surge as well. Everyone's got a beam on them as well. They just have to hop into a box. They cannot look for those long range tags anymore. They're going to have to get creative here because 153 below, and that's it. The Storm Surge is going to activate. And once again, we are going to Camp Cod. We are pulling off the mountains and a repeat-ish zone of yesterday. This is going to be interesting to see who holds the high ground.
Yeah, the one thing that's different here, there's no natural high ground in this space. There's just the one building that's likely been farmed out. Riverson and Co., they're going to go down to Storm Surge. They have no way of getting aggressive. They're going to burn through all of their utility, but it's not going to matter unless they make a massive play here. They're going to end up falling to this because they just don't have the ability to get aggro. There's still 58 damage to below. He has to find somebody, and he misses the shots. He doesn't wait for the first shot accuracy. The bloom betrays him, and he whiffs everything. So uncharacteristic. A massive mistake coming out from Riverson right when he needed it, and they're just barely going to get above. That's Blizzy finding key tags, but it's not quite out yet. They'll get some more there, the conversion onto Power World, but a late rotate is going to be the key. You see our first place trio down at the bottom facing a little bit of pressure. A Snacky's going to find solution. That might be the solution to the pressure. They've now found 4 eliminations, and they've got a bead, but they're doing a water rotation, and so is basically half the lobby. The conga train on the low ground. Everyone line up and start spraying bullets. They're into the box, hip to hip, and they keep going.
This is bad. I don't like it for them. Look at how low Snacky is, going down to 10 HP. Has to get out of there. They're trying to weave their way on through. Fast is making a big tunnel, but no, Snacky is going to fall. They're able to get it, and that water rotate, like you said, everybody and their dog was making the rotation. They were trying to get in, and they get in barely, but they lose a player because of it. Blizzy, though, able to survive, able to get in. 20 HP, has to try to find something. Does have 16 mats, can make a play. Epic Whale, in the meantime, finding eliminations. Wonder what Caleb, Tautai, and Wheels are doing as well.
Yeah, we'll have our next round of placement points coming in soon, but keeping an eye on that top left corner. We just got it. Boom, +3 for everyone. So let's stay that. But Blizzy has to be careful. Oh no! Hot fire! Not able to walk across the coals there, burning his feet and sending him out. That's so tough being stuck in the all wooden builds with just a little bit of white HP. But we're gonna hop on board the back-to-back trios. The unarguable best in the West, trying to push forward. We talked about them being inevitable. Well, third place after day one and trying to continue the charge here. So far, 1 elimination on Arkham, but look at the zone, Clay. They've pulled priority and they're going back over. They're going to get a little bit of a refresh, and we'll check and see if the Storm Surge is not going to be a threat to them so far. And with 111 above and only 10 players who have to go down on a pretty long rotation, they should be safe. So, top of the screen, high ground control, Bakata, Midi, and Birdie. Bottom right, our current leaders in Kenshi, who's trying his best, but he's going to go down. They'll look for an individual effort here from Fast to try and keep it up. And then the bottom left-hand corner, the 100 Thieves duo of Rex and Arkham, along with NRG's Epic Whale, trying to continue their run here. We'll hop on board with Fabs, the first place, as he eats a shot towards the side. Still has 60 builds and plenty of hard mats. He's in the zone as long as he's able to just end up going up. Oh, Arkham's down at the hands of Wavy Jacob. Those are huge knocks coming through. As long as Fabs can end up staying on his feet, he'll continue getting points. We're into those cascading placement points right now. You can see Verdi and Co. just going to continue raining shots from above. Already on 5 eliminations, but it'll be up to Epic Whale and Arkham in the bottom left. Fabs still on his feet. He'll go down there. First place are dropping. Second and third will have a chance to overtake as we hop on board with Rex.
Caleb, Wheels operating, getting eliminations there. Rex, Epic Whale trying to drop players on down, running out of options, running out of mats. Only 13 builds remaining for Rex. It does have that epic bump, can get into faces. This is where Rex operates so well. He fights so beautifully in this moment, but he has to sure that he doesn't get too greedy. Box like a fish gonna come through. No, shot's not gonna connect. Where are Wheels and company? Right there in the middle of it all. They're trying to make something happen there. Rex and Epic Whale trying to get up as well. Midi, Baka, and Vernie making a play there as well. Rex is gonna get 1, 2, not gonna be able to get 3. They're gonna fall. Caleb and Wheels in the meantime will fall, so not a lot of shakeup going to happen at the top of the leaderboard, but Midi, Baka, and Vernie are trying to pick up this victory royale to come in. They were in 7th place going into this game. It's a 3v3v3. That's Epic Whale falling down. Look at all the mats. It's continuing to pull away from them, though. This is not a guaranteed win. It keep pulling away, making wavy. They can do it. Dog is there as well. Nani the solo.
You can see 3v3v1, making Poodle and Wavy Jacob on the low ground midi, dropping down to challenge, trying to make sure that they have a tarp above them. They're operating on basically was a half layer on the low ground, which makes it extremely hard. And Bakata's immediately cutting them off. You saw him go over to the side and ramp them off. Vernie, who has a bead in enough medium bullets to last out the rest of the game, he can just hold down the right trigger or the left click on the mouse, whatever his fire button is. He's just going to continue spraying. Nani gets cleaned up by making. He'll take the 2 points plus the placements for seconds, and we have a 3v3. We're pulling over the ocean. High ground control is gonna stay with Vernie, Bakata, and Midi because they've already built over, and he found the fish in the barrel, and that's Wavy Jacob being shot right away. You can see the aim down sights, but it gets traded out as Bakata bites off a little bit more than he can chew, and the Piranhas end up patching him. We're talking about fish in a barrel. Vernie tries to get dropped down, but the pre-fire, he answers the pressure back. That was Dog and him trading shots. You can see Macon trying to execute on the med kit on the low ground right now. Vernie trying to fight it again, but that's Dog up on the backside. Great shots for Vernie, but he gets taken down. They lose to the pincer. It's going to be a straight up 1v1 going through. Dog versus Midi for match number 7 here in NA West. Midi and Co need every point possible to continue pressuring up to try and push into that top 5 conversation, and they're doing a fantastic job here with 10 eliminations, with the high ground control, with the small fry, with the med kit. It's on Midi. He only has the 3 builds. There seems to be no builds on Dog. He can just last him out. He's dipping back into the zone to try and get an angle. He should just take out an AR and be able to finish it. Some really well executed high class. Well done, Midi. That is exact composure and clutch you need in those moments, recognizing Dog was out of mats, dipping back into the zone, using 2 small fries to make him hesitate, and then finishing it off. 11 eliminations and the victory royale.
Yeah, my heart could not take that right there. I thought it was gonna go over the Dog. I thought some miracle shot was gonna come through, but Midi had it planned out and it worked. It almost ended up going over to that low ground, but that's definitely gonna shake it up because that was 7th versus 11th right there. And with 6th, 5th, and 4th out, we're definitely gonna need Shio, Kelly, and Zeke to break it down for us.
Thank you guys so much. You're incredible as always. What a first game here. Like Clay did just mention, that was 7th place coming into that after the first 6 games yesterday. So to have an incredible game like that, we're talking a 50-point game. They are very well knocking on the door of top 3 coming out of that. That was wild. And you know, I really felt like they had this for like a while, right, Shai? They had the high ground. They had kind of everything working for them in that moment.
Yeah, they held on to the top side at the same time. Finally, great to see Wavy Jacob inside an end game too, right, Kelly? Every time we see their page or the name on the second page, you're kind of feeling out for them, and this time they finally pulled it through.
I mean, I feel like the drama for that game all started from the beginning. Reed's incredible 1v3 to only get eliminated so early on. But with that incredible early game engagement, we can see that this is obviously not where they're going to be stopping. Reed's team is definitely going to be moving forward from there. They just should not be entering those multi-team engagements like they were doing as a 1v3, Shio.
Reed had a 1v3 and he won it up, and then another team comes through. You want this man to like 1v6, 1v9. I understand it's Reed, but come on, it's one guy. Give him a break.
Give him a break, please. Guys, you know what's crazy coming out of this game is like I feel like that top 3 just wasn't there. This was a different subset of trios we were actually getting to watch. So I feel like we need to get a refresher from the top 3.
Yeah, risky reels for Favs, Kenshi, and Snacky rolling through. They also have a split on the other side of the Spire on the map. You'll see Kenshi dropping in a little bit outside of it, making sure they have the most efficient loot routes. This game, specifically looking at their performance, yes, they went down in 14th, was slightly earlier inside the end game. Yesterday, though, they were popping off. You know, they're very good when they finally get towards an end game with second places and finishes in first. The consistency, so you never see these guys coming in third or fifth or 10th, really. It's a really good end game or out early. So in that aspect, you really want to be careful rolling into day 2 and make sure you pop off.
Yeah, I mean, Kinchi, Fabs, and Snacky, they didn't have the greatest game number 7, but now moving on to Caleb, Wheels, and Tautai. We got to see them a little bit in the end game in game number 7. They made it to 9th place, and more importantly, they were able to grab 5 eliminations, garnering them 10 points on top of the placement points that they got. But of course, when you look at this team, you have to look at their performance yesterday. They did grab a victory royale in game number 3 there, doing it pretty confidently, holding it from height. Of course, name of the game here is holding height and being able to grab those easy tags onto the low ground.
Yeah, if you hold height, you play as a team and you make end games, even if it's a 10th or 9th place, you get so many eliminations. That might set them apart. Talk about a trio that likes setting themselves apart from everyone else. Arkroom, Rex, Epic Will rolling in still uncontested to this day on Sweaty Sands. Doesn't matter what people are saying on Twitter, on socials. At the end of the day, these guys roll in and they're a powerhouse. In this game specifically, though, we were watching them come through top 8. You saw Rex go down, or I believe Arkroom go down slightly earlier, so it had to be a little bit of a clutch situation. Didn't totally work out, but they're so consistent every time they make an endgame. They have the elims, they have the power, and day 2 is usually theirs. Game 1 for this day, though, will go to Tautai, Wheels, and Caleb. Might not come out with the VR, but the consistent finish, 9th place, 5 elims, that nets them 213 points and a 1st place overall.
I mean, the top 5 teams were the teams that we talked about at the start of the show that were in contention of grabbing 1st place after the end of the. And those are still the same 5 teams that we're seeing here, but none of them were able to make it into the end game, the very, very end game right there. One team that was the team that won, of course, Bakata, Vernie, and Midi right there. You see them jumping up all the way into 6th place right now. But more importantly, we have to look at the points that 1st versus 6th has right now. This has to be one of the closest top 6s that we've seen so far, with only 40 points separating these teams.
Yeah, everyone really closed the gap. Now it's just maybe a 15-point difference. And what was it before? 40? That was definitely a catch-up game. On this page, too, we were seeing ties at around 95 points, all the way down to like 70 points. Now look at it. Triple digits leaking through all the way to 18th. So you're talking about a lot of people who are looking to level up. Trashy, Vert's there too. We see Jagger, Mojo Solution not able to get off of this page, but they're rolling through. Domo, Unsightly, and Glacier kind of bouncing back between top 10 and 11th overall. They got the VR, Kelly. They also have the potential to just rise all the way to the top.
But the top is already so risen right now. I mean, I was just talking about how these top 5 teams weren't able to make it to the end game, but I was wrong. Caleb, Tautai, and Wheels, they were able to grab 9th place with 5 eliminations, and then Arkroom, Rex, and Epic Will were able to grab 8th place with only 1 elimination. But still, if they are still able to make it and break it into that top 10 right there, that is so many placement points. So even if we're not seeing them in like the final 2 or 3 teams, that doesn't mean that they're not still grabbing those points that they need, and that's what is setting them apart from everyone else. Even when they're not performing, they still are kind of performing.
It's all about that consistency factor, right? Just being able to make it in those top placements, like you're saying, even if it's just flying under the radar, that's still pushing them up the leaderboards. But you know what time it is? It's game number 2 on the day. That's right, we're jumping on the battle bus once again. Clay, Sundown, back over to you guys.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Shio, and Kelly, and hopping on board with our match number 7 winners, Vernie, Bakata, and Midi. And you can see already some action going on in the feed as Nani is going to pick up Spidey with the knock there. You can see Llama also pinged out by Vernie. They're landing over on a pretty sizable split around the side of Slurpee, so just need to make sure that they don't end up getting isolated. But goes to show why they had so much high ground control of that endgame.
This is a very big split, and I like it. Because I saw Vernie kind of posturing as they saw someone trying to go through, and he was kind of pushing everyone away from this area. But Troy Quinn and company, they're doing a lot better this time around. They have gotten that first knock. They got that first elimination. Adam Bay going to go down. Dylan is coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah, trying to do their best to get themselves into relevancy or win just a little bit more prize money, make it to the bump. Don't forget, first place on top of taking home that Axe of Champions is 25 grand a piece, and that's a second llama going over there to Midi and Co. So they're going to be feeling pretty good about that. They bumped themselves up into 6th place. and into the conversation to potentially be able to push towards the top. Also utilizing that slurp truck, backing the truck into it for the instant break. There's a little bit of tech for you if you're not aware. And now they're going to come over and crash the party at Slurpy Swamps. They weren't invited, but they're showing up anyway.
This is gonna be interesting. They've got to be really careful here, because we've talked about how we've seen this pattern of winning a game in West and then immediately getting too aggressive and trying to bite off more than you can chew. And I don't want them to do that. I want them to play their game, do exactly what they just did. But 40R is going to regret doing just that. He got beamed down to 10 HP. Cause is trying to fight off the entire trio of Quinn, Dylan, and Juicy. They already lost Adam Bay. We're able to get the reboot card. There's not a lot to go on here, especially with how low 40R is. They essentially just have to sit here and wait for Quinn, Dylan, and Juicy to make a play. But somehow it doesn't seem like they want to make a play.
Yeah, we can see tossing the ramp up there for a little backstop. I was about to say, I'm assuming 40R Storm has a medkit if Cause isn't tossing him over that one. He stays actually one in the bottom of that building, but don't want to expose him. A good job by Quinn and Co to get the first elimination onto Adam Bay and then kind of bait the reboot van, making him think like, oh yeah, it's safer, we're looting over on the side, but swinging back over the match number 7. Winners trying to get a little aggressive here. Mini hopping in, finding Hyper and taking advantage of him here. They've been having a real tough time trying to get out of the swamps, not being kicked out, instead going to be shaken down first. Give me all the information, show us where the rest are. Going to be able to clean that one up. 2 eliminations, 4 points, and a ton of space coming over for what was our 6th place team, but they're creeping up there again, almost catching 5th place after the 2 elims there.
And I was worried about this fight for them coming through, but Slurpy has been back and forth the entirety of this tournament. And so realizing that coming into today and taking advantage of that, they knew that that team was not going to be able to fight them. They weren't going to be as looted up. And even then, they were going to be a little bit split from each other. And so that was just an 100% worth it play in every ounce of the word. Because, like you said, that was quick. It was easy. They got their Storm Surge, and they got their Elam points, and now they're back on their rotations. Moving over, though, we've got our first place team now after that game. Caleb, Tautai, and Wheels, who are just kind of playing ridiculously consistent. We didn't really see a lot of them in that end game there, but they were able to get into that upper echelon of placement.
So I'm back over to the Dirty Docks for the fight that seems to just keep giving over and over tempo. Little Zinkyu, Shifu, Depex, and Yasirman. Don't see Yasirman here, so it looks like he got taken down. Shifu, the one who got that nice 1v3 clip to get us kicked off in match number 2 yesterday. It's going to look like they're going to be a little bit under pressure here. You can see Little trying to maybe get an angle with that ramp flip, and then a little bit of a mis-execution putting that brick one above it. It's actually going to limit his options on what he's able to do here, but not a ton of excess shield here for Tempo and his trio. Does have the epic pump on the Zinc, so you can assume that he's going to be the one to make the play, and yeah, they're looking for a chop.
And they're ready for it too. I think the team above was ready. They did not go down that easily though. Shots come through. Zinc's gonna go down to 55 HP. The damage being dealt onto Temple as well. They were ready up above. They thought, oh, we're just gonna chop them down. We'll get those easy tags, but no, they're not going out without a fight. Look, they automatically disengaged down to that building. Shifu and Depth though are split. He has to get together. They're not all too close. Shifu actually decided not to even go in that building as a disengage maybe wants to come through, because look at that, there's not a lot Shifu can do to get over there and really help him out. I think Shifu realizes he's got to play for himself at this point.
Yeah, they're just waiting for the other team to make a mistake, somebody to isolate themselves, and Zinkyu might do it. You can see him dropping around, potentially trying to loop around the side. Shifu though going to get caught out, going to take a ton of damage, had no builds left, and Zinkyu going to find him out there, going to get the knock zone. It's going to be coming through. Potential shakedown for information, but instead just going to grab the siphon. There's bandages there, and it's only the 1-tick zone, so they don't really have to worry about it. And they should be able to wrap this up here in a second. I don't anticipate that this player is going to be able to really outlast them that much longer, but they have to be aware of the health bars, and boom, there it is, finding a nice little pre-fire shot onto Depex, but only needed to connect with 2 or 3 pellets there because he was down bad.
Dirty Ducks, it seems to be back and forth. We talked about how yesterday was essentially even. No one ended up winning, and Little and company trying to make it theirs. I don't believe they actually ended up winning out on last game's POI battle, but back over towards the center of the map. We've got Wheels, we've got Taltai, Caleb off in the distance, and we talked about this as kind of a scarecrow base. They're not going to sit here for the entirety of the game because it's made out of wood. It's so easy to just shoot on down, but they're just trying to scare people away from claiming that area because they want it for themselves. Eventually, you may see them fortify it up with metal, with brick, move to another place. But again, it's still first zone, and this is where West starts to calm down a little bit. We've had our initial POI fights, and everybody is just trying to find their space here in the zone.
Yeah, and you can also see them rocking that FNCS outfit that is in the item shot. You can take that out. Has the logo on it and the coloring for this season to kind of celebrate it. It will end up being exclusive, so don't forget to get it before it's gone. But these guys competing for a more exclusive cosmetic, the Axe of Champions. They want that first place spot. They want all the glory that comes with it. And continuing to just kind of recycle the wood here, build up to try and get some sight lines, distribute utility evenly, and just get some tags. Not looking to do anything special right now. They just want to hold on because with 5 matches left, they know as long as they keep making end games, they'll put themselves in a spot where they're able to contest for first place.
I gotta say, that outfit looks real good with the FNCS back bling from last season as well. I got both the combo going, and I am a little jealous that, you know, there's not like a matching pickaxe quite yet for it. I know these guys want it as well, and then they'd have the whole outfit. They'd have the pickaxe, the outfit, they've had the back bling as well, and it would just look, oh, I want to see that from the winners any region, especially here in West. I'd love to see that picture on Twitter later. But moving over to Bluzro, Nigel, and Nani there. 8th place, they jumped up a spot coming in from that last game. Zone is pulling more towards Sweaty, and this will be an interesting one. We haven't really seen how this one will play out. But 42 points in their first game is the second game is really great.
Yeah, but they need to be careful with this rotation. Without having the chonkers, the rotation over the water really isn't that efficient, but they will end up picking up some mechanical parts, dropping as their ride gets abused here. And that's just so often you can see players on top of those Guardian Spires or on top of the hotel over at Sweaty, just raining shots down and making this rotation just a little bit more difficult. And I also gotta say, what's up to everyone hanging out in Party Royale? Hit me with your favorite emote right now if you have any of those throwables, the consumables, or the toys. Right now, just toss them up at the screen. Go on, get them up there, huck them up there, hit the screen, because we're gonna be chilling for a bit. This is the time and place in NA West where not a whole lot goes on. They're going to be looking for tags. They're going to be looking to trade out. And I'm going to be looking on that stat on the left-hand side. Bluzro's trio has finished top 5 in the last 3 games. Talk about momentum.
And they didn't even let the day separate them. They came out swinging. Temple going to go down, I think, just to zone as they're trying to rotate in. They had that fight, and with where it ended up pulling, I don't think it was that easy to find those Storm Surge tags. But look at where their zone is. The observers are showing us that map. It is centered up around Holly and Sweaty. And that means Arkham, Epic Whale, and Rex are going to have such a priority on this zone and these tags as well.
But you can also tell, you see in the bottom right-hand corner of the map there is no one in the center of the map. So there's going to be a lot of rotations and a lot of gatekeeping going on. And what we mean by that is the teams who are on the outside of that new safe zone, the ones who are just inside the white circle, all those triangles are going to be pointing towards the outside and raining shots on the players who try and rotate in, forcing them to burn utility, potentially burn hard mats, and making their endgame a little bit more difficult. Because at the end of the day, Fortnite is a game of resource management. How well do you manage your resources in order to set yourself up for success? And right now, Bluzro, Nigel, and Nani doing a good job of that.
They're not even content with just having that 300 damage above. They want more. And that is great to see, because we've talked about it. It's not safe if you don't keep getting that damage, because everyone else is looking for it. As we get to move over towards the Spire into Boney Burbs, we see Nate, Lizzie, and Riverside. 14 points coming out of that first game, looking to get a little bit more. Again, they do stay in 5th place after that game, so they're not too far. Caleb actually going to go down. All of a sudden, Nico going to be the one that takes them on down. Maybe a headshot bow coming through, maybe a fight somewhere else on the map, but we definitely are going to hop over there soon to see exactly what's happening, because that is 1/3 of first place going out that this early before placements are even close.
Yeah, 3 more trios will need to go down before those first 5 points come through, and you can see Blizzy, Riverside, and Co., who just got abused on the rotation last time. Trying to avoid that now by going a little bit earlier. We'll swing on over, and it looks like that finish ended up coming through there. Yep, Caleb down and out. So we talked about how the consistent trios, when facing up against adversity, one slip can often mean a lot. However, they do still have a priority position. You can see bottom right-hand corner. They're on the inside, and everyone else is on the outside. However, just above the map, they're below that storm surge threshold, and that zone's closing 15 seconds. So they need to find shots and just barely going to be able to tick themselves above. The accuracy is really going to come into play here.
But they don't have a lot of ammo. It's outside 142 medium bullets there. That's not going to last them even when they need the surge. Yes, you're going to keep getting these tags. But going into this mid game, look at where Zone is pulling, and you set this up. If Zone pulls this way, everyone is going to have a very hard time. And we are going to see it right there. Shots continue to come through for Taotai. They're still below 21. Everyone else on this edge of Zone must be below surge. Some people here are continuing to get that damage to push them on down. Pat, losing Caleb there is going to hurt so much right now.
I'm not sure they're actually under, because Storm Surge should be firing on them, but they're not taking damage. It looks like Wheels was able to find some tags there, but they're just barely flirting on the edge of it, going back and forth. We'll hop back over, mash up against it, but actually the ones up against it are Cuff, Fikoi, and GodQ, as Storm Surge is obliterating their resource pool, and I think all of those elims actually ended up going over to them. That could be a swing of 6 points. They should close in on the 5 points from the placement there, and boom, Storm Surge comes back over, and as a duo, under threat. There's only 2 other trios we have to get it, and you don't have time to both pop minis and trade shots out. They need to find somebody, and they have to find somebody quick, and you're not really going to have an option. Each one of those minis, you're effectively only buying yourself 2.5 seconds to trade shots out. That Storm Surge coming through, 25 damage every 5 seconds to the trios that have done the least amount of damage. It occurs 3rd, 5th, and 7th zones. So right now you can see bottom right hand corner, 3rd zone still going on, and they still need to find tags. They've burned through pretty much all of their shields. Taking a big pot isn't time efficient either. Taotai is about to go down, and despite the wanting to be able to look for tags, they can't, as Jiven and Nico and Jaden just rotate right past them. They didn't have the ability to poke out, because if they didn't take their shields, they would have just been straight eliminated, and their opportunity to stay in the game could pass them by. Taotai goes down, and it's all going to be on the back of Wheels, who actually doesn't have to peek here. That was a huge mistake. He was down under. Look at the top left corner. Storm Surge was turned off. 70 players were left. He could have just gone and stayed in front of the zone, but instead the pressure getting to him, and for the first time in what seems like forever, and I think it might be the entirety of this tournament, they're down. They're outside of the cascading placement points, and that's going to give an opportunity for 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 6th to potentially close that gap.
And that is so great for Favs, Kenshi, Snacky, who want to retake their lead. Only 5 points behind coming into this game. Parker, Epic Whale, and Rex were a little bit further away, but this zone is set up for them. They have not had to move at all. It's right near Sweaty Sands. They should have priority. They should be set up to win this game. They can do it. We've seen it before. They have been playing a lot of low ground this tournament. If any game, if any zone is a high ground zone for them, it is this one. Temple, Zinx, and Little, though, are struggling to get in. We saw the knock come from zone earlier. Temple, running out of builds, only has bandages to try to get on in, and they're getting in. Rex is going to get a knock in the feed there, top left-hand corner of your screen. They're able to get in, but they are going to get Zinx knocked. Little will be able to pick him up, but we say this a lot. At what cost? Yes, you have your entire trio up, but...
And look at the 2 trios who they're pinned against right now. You have Riverside, Nate, and Blizzy, as well as Snacky, Kenshi, and Favs right there. And the shots and the sprays are starting to come out. They know that this trio is a little bit in shambles. You see, Temple's out of build, so they're trying to use the harpoon to get him up here. You saw him parkouring early, a little, trying to go for the nice tech, but not quite gonna get it. They might just have to be satisfied with the 11 points that they got via the elims and the 25 place threshold, because there's so many trios stacked on top of them. They had to invest so many hard mats, and you can see they're actually looking to go for a last ditch drop effort here. Caesar's a solo, and they might be able to get it. Yes, they will. They'll get that refresh, and they should be able to pick up some of those mats as long as they go late. They drop down in front of them. Fast, Kenshi, and Snacky are rotating, and they could get a little bit of respite. They could follow this path and have a safe rotate, but keep an eye on the bottom right, as There's so many trios, so many triangles between them and the zone. And as I say that, Little eats a couple of shots there to make it just that much more difficult.
Zone wants to keep pulling west, and it is. Look at Kenshi, Snacky, and Fabs trying to make their way through. That is 5th place right in front of them. And right in front of 5th place is 3rd place there. Snacky getting in. Blizzy is going to go down there. That one's going to go over to Epic Whale. Snacky trying to get in. The shots will break his way on through, but they're getting pinched from all different sides. Backs up to grab that legendary pump. Blizzy going to go down. Riverson will fall as well. Only looking to see what Nate can do. His shots come through. Snacky go down very low. Is going to get that knock there on to whomever that was, but a trade out going to come through. I think Kenshi actually going to get another one there. Continued pressure. Kenshi will fall. Actually, Fabs very weak as well. This is Little. This is them. They're coming through. They're trying to take down 2nd place. All of a sudden, they went from shambles to having Loop, and Zinx is going to go down. That's going to be Arkham taking him, and look, Snacky and Fabs are so weak. 2nd place could go down, and you know what that means. If they go down, this is Arkham, this is Epic Well, and this is Rex's chance.
And we're over by the logjam, but the real logjam happened right there in the tarp, as you talked about. 3rd, 5th, and 6th all directly on top of each other. And Snacky, Kenshi, and Fabs ended up on the back side of that. We talked about it, them just getting pinched right now, but they were able to stay up on their feet, but in such a tough situation. And unfortunately, too, Snacky was just whiffing some key shots when he had the ability with that legendary pump. It could have made a difference. And as I say that, the zone is going to make a huge difference here as they have a max pull to half and half out. We're still going farther to the southwest, so you can see Arkham, Rex, Epic Whale, they're out, they're gone. They say, we want nothing to do with the action that's happening on the northeast side. We're going ahead. They're going to break the line of sight up with a little bit of builds, because as long as they can clear over this hill, they should have a safe rotation, as there's only 2 trios who are in the zone. And some brilliant shots from Arkham, back-to-back 40s, and I think there was actually an assist in the knock. Yes, there was. He got all of them. Great combo effort there to take down Bluzro, who just gets picked off, and they're going to get a free pass over here as we pull into one of the farthest possible southwestern zones we have here. Just barely on the side of the BR Island. And Arkham, Rex, and Epic Whale, great position. And they're in a honestly the prime position to be able to take over control here, because we know that Faz, Kenshi, and Snacky ended up facing a ton of adversity there in the last rotation. They're in shambles, whereas these guys, front of the zone, plenty of mats, they are set.
And they have 4 elims as well coming in. They were behind by, I believe, 14 points. That is making up a big chunk of the difference, as well as those placement points coming through. Vernie going to go down. Snacky, though, still operating, trying to get that elimination. Will confirm Babs there as well. But look at Snacky. He is in the thick of it, trying to get on out. Snacky 50 builds, though. They can get out. They can survive. Dropping a match over is going to pick some back up. Only 7. Give it all over to Fast as you lead us there. Snacky does have that epic pump, trying to make something happen on the backside zone, but losing Fabs in the meantime has to get over. Will use the harpoon to get their way on through. It will break that wood so well, and they get a little bit of time, but not for long. A shot gonna come through. They put the damage down. Snacky operating so well, not missing when it matters the most. The fire is gonna come through, though. They gotta get out. It's gonna burn. That's 1 tick. It could go on them, and I like the replace. This is what they need. They can breathe just a little bit.
And he knows he got a 141 tag, but they should have the utility above him. You can see Snacky and Fabs hip to hip there. That's the Aura and the Catwoman on the low ground. Bakata and Midi. So currently we have 6th place on the high ground, top of the screen, both on low ground, bottom right-hand corner. That's 2nd place with Snacky and Fabs as a duo. And then the bottom left-hand corner, we have Arkham, Rex, and Epic Whale. That's 3rd place up as a trio. So that's 2nd, 3rd, and 6th currently all on the screen. 2 duos and then a full trio in the form of the Giants, the Goliaths out west. But right now you can see Snacky and Fabs trying to stay hip to hip. Fabs gets obliterated. Snacky follows him soon. They're down. That's in 14th. We'll hop back on board. Bakata and Midi trying to do it all as a duo. We saw Vernie end up getting picked up on that 5th zone rotation, trying to make it over there, getting caught out. And right now they're doing it all with 5 eliminations, and they have a good positioning, but not a lot of builds. As we go back to that wide, we can see we'll swing over 3rd place. Arkham, Rex, Epic Whale. Here they go. They're looking for the high ground take, but immediately it gets smelled out. So instead, they try and get ahead of it. You can see it. They're looking for the angle, looking to punish it. Not quite going to get the knock, but sees that it goes down. Instead, going to opt to drop to another tarp, as Rex is going to pick up Monk, be able to get
They told me to rock, that's not how I rock. Now I gotta pop Madonna. Look, pull in the spot. Ooh, watch how I drop. Watch how I drop. Believe it or not, this is an.
Let's go. Yeah.
With a ride.